Hello, thanks for joining us again on the channel. I've been wanting to talk about this for ages, and now that a friend finally got one, we can dive into his experience. Quick note before we begin, there's a discount link in the description and the top comment if you want to check it out. Now let's not waste any more time and jump right into the details.
Starting things off, our first reviewer gives us their perspective.
This reviewer is coming at this from the perspective of an industrial mechanic and welding fabricator, so he's got a keen eye for detail. He was impressed right from the start with the packaging. It was well done, protective, and didn't leave behind a ton of waste. It arrived in perfect condition, which is always a relief. He found it surprisingly easy to move, considering its contents. The assembly process was a breeze. This client says you don't need to be a mechanical genius to put it together. It's really straightforward. And get this, they even include all the necessary tools, and the tools are actually decent quality. He recommends keeping them around for basic maintenance. Being a welder, the first thing he did was check out the welds. Apparently they're solid, no signs of weakness or poor craftsmanship. Uniform and well executed, according to our reviewer. He was also impressed with the overall mechanical design. No obvious flaws or shortcuts were detected. He even went as far as to say that the quality control during manufacturing seems to be top-notch. He was pleasantly surprised to see stainless steel screws used, which should hold up much better against rust than cheaper alternatives. Looking at the electrical components, this reviewer says the wiring is neat and tidy. No need to mess with any connections yourself. If you ever need to replace a part, it's all plug and play. The LCD display is a good size, easy to read but not overly bulky. The rims, brakes, and front suspension all get a thumbs up. The suspension forks move smoothly and can even be locked for a stiffer ride. The fenders are made of ABS plastic, which is a nice touch since they won't bend out of shape as easily as metal ones. The rear cargo rack seems sturdy enough for most panniers. The shifting mechanism is a reliable brand, more than adequate. The seat and handle grips are comfortable, and you can adjust the handlebars to find the perfect fit. The only real downside he saw were the pedals. They're plastic, which most people will probably find acceptable, but he plans to upgrade to aluminum pedals at some point. He also thought the owner's manual could be a bit more detailed, especially regarding the bike settings. Overall, based on the design and manufacturing alone, he gives it a solid 5 out of 5 stars. He hasn't taken it for a spin yet, but plans to update his review after he's had a chance to test out its ride quality and performance.
Great! Now let's see what our next reviewer has to say about their experience.
This reviewer wanted to share their thoughts on this electric bike. First off, they mention it's really powerful, even capable of pulling off something like a burnout. Speed and comfort were also highlights for our reviewer. Assembling it wasn't too bad, although there was a slight hiccup with the chain, easily fixed. Visually, this client was really impressed, describing the bike as sick. The reviewer also found the weight of the bike to be satisfying. They tested it out in the evening and are already excited about riding it during the day. This client also mentioned that other reviewers had issues with bent parts upon arrival, but their bike was in perfect condition, so it seems any previous manufacturing problems might have been resolved. The pedal assist is quick to engage, and they found level 2 to be a sweet spot for assistance without being too intense. The torque on this thing is apparently incredible, as they effortlessly went up a hill using just the throttle. However, it's not all perfect. The front brakes were a concern. The reviewer found them weak and unresponsive, even when applying maximum pressure. The reviewer wishes it had hydraulic brakes and found the only effective way to stop quickly was to use both brakes simultaneously, and even then it required some effort. The seat, while nice, could be a bit more comfortable for this client. Also, the manual apparently has some typos and awkward phrasing. Overall, despite these negatives, this reviewer really likes this bike and feels that the positives far outweigh the drawbacks.
Wonderful. Now, let's explore the feedback from our next reviewer.
This reviewer initially loved this bike, using it daily for commuting, including tackling some serious hills. Right away, they mentioned needing to replace the seat and headlight as the original ones weren't up to par. They also added a rack and saddlebags for carrying work essentials. Despite initial concerns about the battery life, it seemed adequate for their needs. However, about a year later, the battery started to degrade, requiring twice daily charging. Finding replacement brake pads also proved challenging, needing some modification to fit. Eventually, the bike completely died mid-ride despite showing a full charge. Contacting customer service was difficult, with email responses being the only form of communication. Through online research and advice from an electric bike repair shop, our reviewer concluded the battery was dead and learned the importance of proper charging habits for battery longevity. They replaced the original battery with a different brand, requiring some rewiring, but ultimately got the bike back in working order. Despite the battery issues, this client had put a considerable amount of mileage on this bike. The reviewer highlighted that the other components, like the brakes and shifting system, being Shimano, have held up well. They also pointed out the durability of the paint job and how little maintenance was needed besides the battery and occasional tire replacements. They concluded it's been an exceptional purchase overall, given its reliability and ability to handle heavy loads and challenging terrain.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. See you next time.